Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the chair, mayor and vice chair. Thank you.
Adam. Item 7, not one with that. There's no reason that went to government for family comments. It is just dividing timing on the time of the meeting. It does cancel anything. Hang 7 and 10. Until September. Item 7. That is going to be. So that was So somebody who's clearing things up, maybe that's it. Oh. It's been neat for the
Okay, thank you everybody. I want to welcome everyone present to the meeting in the Civic Centre and also to those observing the meeting on Microsoft Teams. No fire drills are expected this evening, so in the event of the alarm sounding, please quickly make your way out of the building. There are three exits from this room which members can use to vacate the premises. Please ensure your mobile phones are on silent or switched off, and please take any calls outside of the council chamber. Do not leave any bags unaccompanied or report any unaccompanied bags. Remember to take any bags with you when the meeting is concluded or as you leave the meeting. This meeting may be subject to filming or audio recording by others in accordance with the council's filming protocol. Anyone who remains in the meeting following this announcement will have deemed to have consented to allow their image to be recorded and broadcast. I'd like to remind members to turn their microphones on when speaking and to sit back from the microphones to assist the audio recording. Thank you. Before we move on to the agenda, I'd just like to inform members that item 10 has now been removed. Before we move on to item 1, I'm going to invite the elected mayor to speak. Thank you.
I'm going to raise my voice a bit because it doesn't look like my microphone's working. But it's firstly to congratulate the new councillor, Gary Cole, for West Bank. Congratulations and welcome. I'd also want to do a thank you for Ben Bradley, our MP, who has been in service for the district for the last 7 years, and welcome the new MP for Mansfield, Stephen Yem. Figuratively speaking, because it's not actually here. And now we can move back to the agenda.
Thank you, elected mayor. I would also like to welcome Councillor Cole to this first meeting. Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda are apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies have been received from councillors Answer, Hughes, Barton and Anderson.
Thank you. Are there any more apologies? Thank you. Councillor Moxon?
Councillor Langrick as well.
Thank you. No more apologies. Move to item 2 of the agenda, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from anyone? No? Thank you. Item 3 of the agenda, the minutes of the last meeting held on 5th of March 2024. I'm assuming everybody's had the opportunity to read them. Can I have a proposer to say that they're a correct record? Councillor Coxhead, do we have a seconder? Seconder. Are we all in agreement? Thank you. Item 4 of the agenda. Receipt of correspondence laid before the council by the chair of the council, elected mayor, members of the executive or head of paid service. Has there been any correspondence?
Thank you, Chair. Although there's been no formal correspondence, we have been notified that the leader of the Conservatives has changed and that Councillor Moxon is the new leader. And I would like to thank Councillor Camilleri for his service as leader of the Conservatives during his time. But welcome Councillor Moxon as the new leader.
Thank you. Item 5 on the agenda, advanced questions from members of the public. Are there any advanced questions from members of the public?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you. Item 6 of the agenda, advanced questions submitted by members. Are there any advanced questions from members?
There are 4, Chair.
Thank you. First on the agenda is Councillor Langrick. Has anybody put in forward her question to Councillor Whitby? Councillor Moxon.
Yeah, thank you very much. And as I said, Councillor Langrick sends her apologies for this evening. A question was, since the lifting of lockdown restrictions in July 2021, the council has continued with the practice of hybrid working. This is a big shift away from traditional working practices and how the council operates. Residents will rightly wish to know that their taxes are being spent as efficiently as possible, particularly in view of the current financial challenges that the council is facing. In view of this, what assessments have been made on the impact of this change on productivity and performance, staff wellbeing, customer service, and the efficiency of the council overall?
Thank you. Councillor Whitby.
Thank you, and thank you to Councillor Landrick for asking this question. So the needs of our customers and communities are paramount of importance to us. Although the council, like nearly all other authorities across the UK, has embedded a hybrid approach, our customer interface remains accessible and supportive. The shift to hybrid working has seen officers splitting their time between working in an office location remotely, at partner agencies, or from home. Regardless of the base location, accessibility for customers remains key, and teams have procedures and plans in place to ensure an adequate office presence is always maintained. The customer services interface has not been directly impacted by the introduction of hybrid working. Customers have both face-to-face and virtual means of engagement. Since COVID, the council has seen a shift in the growth of customers using online forms to access services and support. However, face-to-face customer service remains available to those who require it. The council has a hybrid working guidance document which is currently under review. Our position is clear that physical presence within the council base location is driven by organisational need. Managers work with their teams to ensure the needs of our customers shape the working patterns of the teams. In relation to performance and productivity, the monitoring of these factors is not driven by the physical presence of officers. It is a fundamental managerial practice of all officers, managers and leaders within the organisation. Members will be aware that Cabinet and various overview and scrutiny committees are presented with comprehensive performance information for review and scrutiny on a quarterly basis. This practice was in place before COVID and remains the core business practice to monitor performance. Like many organisations and local authorities, the council has not found the need to undertake specific assessment, and no areas of concern have been identified via overall corporate performance monitoring. I'm a strong advocate of home working, and I believe it can bring economic benefits and make our organisation a more appealing place to work, helping with recruitment, retention and managing a healthier work-life balance. The council believes that its greatest assets is its people, and supporting colleagues' mental and physical well-being is of paramount importance. We commission support from external agencies to help with employee well-being, have mental health first aiders and HR colleagues who act as conduits for advice and support where needed. Supervisors and managers conduct regular one-to-one and team meetings to check on individual and team well-being. Any sickness absences related to staff well-being is monitored with appropriate actions or mitigations taken as required. As previously mentioned, the council is currently beginning a review of the guidance on hybrid working. I would urge any members who sit on respective committees to help shape and inform the development of any revisions. In addition, I would like to extend the invitation to Councillor Landrick and to all members to be part of this process, if not already involved. Councillor Landrick's attention to this issue will undoubtedly help improve the necessary guidance to make such practices a success.
Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Do you have a follow-up question, Councillor Moxon? Okay, it is at the Chair's discretion, but as Councillor Mox has already indicated, I will allow him to ask the question.
Yeah, it's a very quick one. You mentioned there about the hybrid policy. When are we anticipating having that ready and implemented?
It's just to clarify, it's not a policy, it's working guidance, and there'll be work. I don't know is the answer, but it's due for review. It's on the list of policies and documents and procedures that need reviewing, and it will probably go through the JCC committee as well to make sure unions are happy with the outcomes of it. But I can't give you a date as yet.
Thank you. Councillor Moxon, I'd like to ask you to put your question to the portfolio holder for regeneration and growth.
Very much. I was recently in Newark Town Centre and was talking to an independent shop owner there who is actually one of my constituents. Newark is full of many small thriving independent shops, but with no big link shops to bring the shoppers to the town since Marks and Spencer's closed. Mansfield is lucky to still have a couple of big link stores, such as Primark and M&S, but a lack of small independent shops. What is the council doing to secure more independent shops coming into Mansfield and avoid the link stores closing due to lack of footfall?
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, could I start by thanking Councillor Moxon for asking this question and giving me the opportunity to highlight the work we have undertaken to improve new business startups and the measures we have taken to improve footfall in Mansfield Town Centre. But this is only part of the story. Through the business grant programme, we have supported new businesses in Woodhouse and Warsaw, as well as the wider area of Mansfield. In fact, we have recently supported a new startup on the Millennium Business Park, a company called F22, a photographic business started by two former employees of Wilco's. Following on from that, here are some more of the facts and figures on how successful the Labour administration has been since taking office in 2010. Nationally, the retail habits and consumer preferences have impacted heavily on the well-being of town centres. Mansfield is no different, and coupled with the legacy impact of the pandemic, the challenge to maintain a thriving town centre is considerable. However, Mansfield remains a strong sub-regional centre, and the council is working to ensure that it creates the right environment for private sector growth and supports investment decisions where possible. The council has just 3 properties available in the town at this stage, and 2 of those are under offer. The following points illustrate the council's work in the area. We are greatly encouraged that Mansfield residents are putting their faith in the town, with footfall levels now having recovered significantly from the pandemic lows. With footfall increasing by 42% in the quarter in comparison to the same period 22-23, and by 150% in comparison to the same period on 21-22. This is testament to the work of the council keeping the town centre clean and tidy, maximising the use of the car parks, dealing with antisocial behaviour, and bringing investment to the specialist toilet and changing facilities in the 4 seasons, all making sure that the experience is positive for shoppers and visitors. The 4 Seasons Shopping Centre continues to report an increase in footfall and new tenants. New investment is planned in the council's car parking infrastructure, offering easier payment options, and alongside the recent investment in green space in the town, such as a memorial garden. Further streetscaping work is planned to enhance the environment and making the town centre a better place to linger, spend and enjoy. Our events and cultural programmes continue to prove innovative, illustrating the thirst for new and exciting opportunities and bringing the town centre to life again supporting the private sector to take positive investment decisions. Projects such as the Vision West Not Skills Exchange, now underway at Chesterfield Road South, from this site will drive further young people to use the town centre as a place to enjoy, eat and drink and meat. The council's design code has been listed for a number of awards, which, coupled with the master plan, is designed to help influence the high quality development in the town. The White Hart development will bring new residential developments to the town centre, further increasing the immediate footfall and vibrancy to the town centre over the 24/7. Progress on Mansfield Connect remains positive, which will see various agencies, including the council, locating within the town centre, bringing spending power of over 700 employees to the town centre. Subject to the considerations of the new government, plans are afoot for further investment in the town, focusing on key sites and operational working with the private sector owners to bring forward new developments and enhance the town centre experience, including a diverse retail offer, but in addition, a focus on entertainment, food and drink and lifestyle opportunities. Combined, these developments will bring a new commercial confidence to this town centre, stimulating further growth. Finally, the council continues to offer support to businesses starting up and growing in the town, and not just in Mansfield Town Centre, but in our wider centres too. This includes support from regeneration, environmental health and planning. The opportunity remains for new and existing businesses to access grant funding, alongside grants for those taking advantage of a vacant shop or requiring shopfront improvements. Over 60 businesses have benefited from such grants over the past 3 years. This is coupled with business advice, enabling businesses to get the best of starts and to grow. Through the Mansfield Accelerator Programme, 111 businesses have benefited from high quality, independent advice. Recent years have seen an explosion of business startups, with the latest data showing an increase from around 400 startups per year up until 2020, when over 700 startups per annum were recorded for the district as a whole. Mansfield is proving itself as a place to do business.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Councillor Moxon, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you very much. There was so much in there. I'm not quite sure where to start, really. Apart from it was only towards the end that you actually started answering my question. And it's good to know that you've been in power since 2010. I didn't realise that. Have you got any comparisons to other areas? You say that there is an increase in footfall after COVID, which we would expect because people are obviously not shielding at home and that kind of thing. And it's all well and good saying they've gone up by X percentage, but have you got any comparisons to other areas to prove that Mansfield is going up at a higher rate than comparison towns and cities?
Yeah, the comparisons come from national organisations like the Centre for Cities. During COVID, Mansfield were always 10% better than the national average in footfall. And we've recently had another organisation come out and say that Mansfield is second to the top in the East Midlands for footfall in the town centre. Our officers have worked extremely hard. This is not an accident. This has happened by hard work and vision by the Labour administration. The events that we've put on, looking to bring new businesses into town, as are indicated in the first answer, to startups. And so we've done a tremendous job, and that's been recognised nationally.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. So now I'd like to invite Councillor Moxon to put his question to Councillor Richardson.
Thank you very much. It's almost 9 months now since Wilko's closed and left behind a huge empty unit on Columbus Street. Can the portfolio holder please provide an update and tell us exactly what specific steps have been taken in cooperation with the landlord to attract a new tenant?
Yeah, thank you for that question again. Yeah, the former Wilko store is not a council-owned property. that the council has remained in touch with the agent stroke owners to support any potential investment decisions, including a meeting with the regeneration and planning officers. This included a conversation about the wider investment being made in the town and the potential to support any potential planning application, setting out the policy context and the council's ambitions for the town. The council currently leases the car park immediately above the store and is currently holding over on the existing lease, with notice being served to terminate and to seek a new lease at a lower rent. Rent and lease negotiations have been requested without response to date. Further recent contact has been made with the owners and agents to explore opportunities in the light of further potential investment programme, to explore the potential of a private public sector investment. The response is awaited. In addition, contact has been made with a limited number of potential interested parties to explore what alternative uses look possible in the existing building or for the site as a whole.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Moxon?
Yeah, thank you very much. So in summary, you're waiting to hear back from them. Is that it? We've had 9 months of it being empty and we're waiting to hear back.
Well, it's always been in my life, you can't twist people's arms, and if they want to get back to you, they'll get back to you. There's nothing we can do about that if they refuse to deal with us. We have actually, just going back to the further question, we have been proactive. We supported 2 Wilco's employees and they set up a business, and they are now looking to, when they fill the criteria, to expand that business and come back to us again for further support in form of a growth grant. So we're doing our part as Mansfield District Council. And if I could say, this is all part and parcel of the £420,000 that the Labour group forced through in 2015, called the Economic Stimulus Fund. And we've topped that fund up to keep this going. So it's credit to the Labour group for doing that over these years. In testing times, I might add, but we found money to bring businesses into the town centre, into the wider area of Mansfield and Warsaw.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. I'd now like to invite Councillor Camilleri to put the question to Councillor Bergin.
Question to the portfolio for environment. As I've been driving around Mansfield and Warsaw, I couldn't help but notice an increase in improper disposal of furniture and appliances, fly tipping, such as settees, chairs, bed mattresses and fridges. I'm seeking clarification from the Cabinet member regarding whether there has indeed been a rise in this type of fly tipping since the significant increase in prices for disposal of bulk items and waste that were implemented in January 2023.
Councillor Bergin.
Thank you. So as you've just set out there, Councillor Camilleri, the new legislation was put in place in January 2023, and that included that there was a new burden on the council to separate persistent organic pollutants. Unfortunately, that revised legislation never came with any funding. So the revised legislation means that sofas and similar items can no longer be compacted in a refuse vehicle and must be kept intact until delivered for processing at the point of disposal. This has led to an increase in collection and disposal costs for Mansfield District Council, both through the curbside bulky waste collections and for businesses bringing them into the waste transfer station. We will always strive to avoid passing on costs to residents wherever possible to mitigate against increased fly tipping occurrences. However, the subsequent costs and the increase for the pots and other bulky collections in 2024 reflect the increased costs of collections and disposal of these items by Mansfield District Council in the lack of support from government for this legislation. The increased costs for businesses to dispose of pots through the waste transfer station also reflect the increased cost for disposal payable by Mansfield District Council. With regard to your question about fly tipping, these figures are provided to the scrutiny committee, so they are available in the public domain, and you could have got them from any member of your group that sits on that committee. But the answer is no, it hasn't led to an increase. It's actually decreased. So in 2023, With regard to rider fly tipping, there was 2,133 incidents recorded. In 2023-24, there was 1,855 incidents recorded, or at least reported to the District Council. Incidents involving other household waste, which is items such as pots. In 2023, there was 1,103 incidents reported to the council. And in 23-24, there was 1,034 incidents reported to the council. I would just add that I hope you take care when you're driving around the district, Councillor Camilleri, because I'd hate to see you damage your car and the potholes around the district. And I would also hope that these items that you claim to have seen in your extensive travels, dodging them potholes, were reported to the council so they could be cleared up. I do know the answer to that, but I'm hoping that you can share that with the rest of the members when you answer or ask any supplementary question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bergin. Councillor Cameron, do you have a supplementary question?
I think it's going to come down to potholes. It's not our job now, it's your job. How are you going to fix the potholes? Your job. You promised it. You promised it. That's not the question. Your new MP promised to fix the potholes, and so did Keir Starmer. It's your job now. We'll do our bit. If we get the money, we'll fix the potholes. Moving on. The new regulations. Yes, I take that. But you did have a go at me, didn't it? Right. The new regulation placed a significant financial burden on retailers when it comes to waste disposal. For instance, getting rid of a settee, a three-seater settee, because that was my business before, and 2 chairs will now cost the retailer about £110. In addition to that, there's a weight charge. You actually charge weight as well, so they not only charge the bulk out for the weight. Typically, retailers used to put that in the price, but they can't do it now because it's too much money. So people aren't having the suite taken away by the retailer and deciding to do it themselves. And I have seen large bulky items around the areas. You probably drive around, you're probably too busy swerving around the potholes and not looking at the fire tipping. But moreover, some residents confronted with additional fees might resort to fire tipping their waste rather than taking it to the dump. And I think this does happen. What you're seeing is people having settees on the front gardens. I did notice a posting by one of your MPs, one of your councillors on the avenues where there's a large amount of fire tipping on there. So leading to the spike in clean-up cost account, could the Cabinet please explore viable solutions to aid retailers so they can dump it at a reasonable cost? And to aid retailers and residents in addressing this intricate and costly issue, because it's very expensive for retailers to dump bulky items.
Councillor Bergin?
Not quite sure what the question was there, but I'll have a go at it.
Councillor Cameron,
If you didn't get it, you did it.
can you just read the Councillor Cameron? Would you just clarify the last part of your question? I believe it was in the last 2 sentences.
Regarding whether or not there is indeed a rise in this type of fire tipping since a significant increase, this is the bit here. Could the Cabinet please explore viable solutions to aid retailers and residents in addressing this intricate and costly issue?
Right, thank you for that, Councillor Camilleri. And just to put it clear, it's not my job to fix potholes, it's the county council. I'm a district councillor, county council responsible for highways, and you will know that as a county councillor. Anyway, with regard to the costs to businesses, we cannot subsidise businesses with public funds. That is, with the improper use of public funds, the charges we charge are in line with covering the cost to the council for the disposal of that waste. We have no choice but to pass that on. If the government or the previous government, when they implemented this revised legislation, had given us some funding towards it, it may have been that funding could have been used for that. But unfortunately, there wasn't. There was a burden put on this council, which we then have to pass on to our customers, which is private businesses if they want to go into the waste transfer station, and also our residents. We don't like doing that. We've been left with no choice because of the budget situation at Mansfield District Council, especially to our residents. And just to reiterate, there has been no increase in fly tipping in the district. And I do also note that you didn't answer my question. have you reported this fly tipping? And the answer to that question to Councillor Camilleri is no, you haven't. So you claim to have seen a lot of things and you claim to want to help people, but you couldn't be bothered to take the time to report it to our officers to ask for that waste that you claim to have seen to be removed. So you've not really been doing your job. You're neglecting your role, really, if you've seen bulky items fly tipped and you haven't reported it.
Thank you, Councillor Bergen. I'm now going to move on to item 7 of the agenda, extract minute from the Governance and Standards Committee, the Investment Strategy Outturn Position 23-24, and I'd like to invite Councillor Bell to present and propose the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The Investment Strategies Outturn Position for 23-24 was presented to the Governance and Standards Committee on the 5th of June 2024. In summary, the report covered a background to local authorities' treasury management, borrowing activities undertaken during the quarter, the investments that have taken place during the quarter, the rate of return achieved by the council, and its compliance with the treasury management strategy as approved by the full council in March of this year. The council is informed that the investment strategies have operated within the approved indicators during the financial year. Sorry, Chair, got my teeth in. I propose this full council and ask the council to note the contents of the report.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Henshaw. Thank you. Does anybody wish to comment on this motion? Councillor Wright?
Yeah, I'm a high horse, or not so much high horse, low horse these days. It would be very remiss of me not to draw attention to the council once more. Page 30 of the agenda, appendix 1, income from investment property, £3.3 million. Where would the council be without that money? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Does anybody else have any comments to make? No? Thank you. Now I'm going to put the motion to the vote by a show of hands. All those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion is carried. To move on to item 8 of the agenda, the delegated decision by the portfolio holder for corporate and finance, the acceptance of revenue funding from the Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities under the long-term plans for the town. I'd like to invite Councillor Whipper to present and propose his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. On the 5th of July, I took the delegated decision to accept £250,000 of revenue funding from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, formerly known as DLUC. This is capacity funding to support the long-term plans for town scheme. The capacity funding is received having been subject to a successful stage 1 submission by the council on behalf of the Place Board. The report details the council's the report details that the council delegates the responsibility for determining the scope and use of the capacity funding to the strategic director in consultation with the elected mayor and the Place Board through its appointed chair. I therefore propose to Council that the revenue budget be amended to reflect the income and expenditure in relation to the grant funding. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Elected Mayor. Thank you.
Second and reserve the right.
Thank you. Does anybody want to comment on the motion? No. Thank you. I'm going to put the motion to the vote by show of hands. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion is carried. Now moving on to item 9 of the item 9 of the agenda, the political balance and composition of committees. So just a reminder that due to the by-election that recently took place, a Labour councillor has been replaced, a Conservative councillor. So I'd like to invite the Chief Executive Officer to present his report.
Thank you, Chair. As already mentioned, these are on pages 41 to 47 of the agenda. Following the local by-election result held on the 20th of May 2024 for West Bank Ward, the political balance of the council is now set out at 4.1 within the pages. In addition, a number of amendments to appointments have also been requested, and these are set out on page 43. The allocation of seats on council and committees can also be found on page 47. Therefore, the recommendations to council are the political balance of the committees of the council be agreed as set out in Appendix 1, page 47, and the appointment of membership of the council's committees be approved as set out within the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions to the CEO? No? Thank you. Could I have a proposer? Elected Mayor, the seconder?
I can now reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Does anybody wish to comment on this motion? Councillor Henshaw.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I always take great pride in being able to look at people when they offer themselves to become local councillors, people that are prepared to serve their local area, serve the district that they live in. And over the years, I've worked with some great people, and I hope that people will continue to offer themselves to serve in local government. And I'd just like to thank Councillor Cole for offering himself to be somebody that could serve the community in Mansfield and district. I'd like also to congratulate Councillor Moxon on becoming the leader of an ever diminishing Labour Tory group on the council, and to congratulate Councillor Camilleri for, I think, becoming the chair of the local Tory association. And people serve their communities in different ways, and I hope that people will continue to put themselves forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. Does anybody else wish to comment? Thank you. Councillor Whitby, do you have any? Thank you. Elected Mayor, do you have any response? Thank you. I'll put the motion to the votes by a show of hands. All those in favour? All those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. I'm now going to move on to item 11 of the agenda, appointments to outside bodies, and I'd like to invite the Chief Executive Officer to present his report on the various appointments to the outside bodies.
Thank you, Chair. So this is agenda item 11. The report on appointments to the outside bodies can be found on pages 53 to 58. Notification has been received from the Labour Group that a number of alternative appointments are required to those made by annual council on the 14th of May 2024. These are listed in Appendix 1 on pages 57. The recommendation as set out in the report is that the appointments be made to the outside bodies as listed in Appendix 1. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the CEO? No? Thank you. Do we have a proposer? Elected Mayor, seconder?
I'll reserve the right.
Councillor Whitby. Does anybody wish to comment on this motion? Councillor Whitby, do you want to speak?
I've nothing further to add, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Elected Mayor?
No.
Thank you. Now going to put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion is carried. Now moving on to item 12 of the agenda, appointment to trustees of the allotment of the labouring poor. Now I'd like to invite the Chief Executive Officer to present his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is agenda item 12, pages 59 to 61. As part of the trust deed of the allotments for the Labouring Poor charity, there is a provision for the council to appoint 11 trustees to the charity. The appointment of 5 non-elected trustees are also to be agreed by council. After a recruitment campaign to seek interest to fill the remaining 1 vacancy, Marion Bradshaw is the proposed nomination. Marion has served as a trustee previously when she was elected member in that position, while she was a member of this authority. So it brings knowledge and experience to that role. Therefore, the recommendation to council is that Marion Bradshaw be appointed as a non-elected member to serve on the allotment of the labouring pool until the council's annual council in May 2027, or until such time as the appointment is terminated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the Chief Executive Officer? Thank you. Can I have a proposer, please? Elected Mayor, the seconder. Councillor Whitby. Does anybody wish to comment on the motion? Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Elected Mayor.
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. We're now going to put the motion to the vote. A show of hands, all those in favour? Are there any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion is carried. So move on to item 13 of the agenda, designation of the monitoring officers. I'll pass on to the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Chair. You'll find this agenda item 13 on pages 63 to 66. In accordance with Section 5 of the Local Government and Housing Act 1989, the Council is required to appoint a monitoring officer. The designation is currently undertaken by the Assistant Director for Law and Governance, and as a result of her impending departure to a new role outside the authority, this function needs to be reallocated. The Council's Personnel Committee, at its meeting on the 18th of June 2024, delegated authority to the elected Mayor and Chief Executive to directly recommend to Council the appointment of the Assistant Director Law and Governance and the designation of Monitoring Officer on an interim basis. This interim appointment will fulfil both the Assistant Director role and designation of Monitoring Officer. On Friday the 12th of July, interviews took place with a selected candidate being recommended to Council tonight. The selected candidate is Daniel Touet, a highly accomplished Service Director for Law and Governance with over 10 years' experience as a monitoring officer. Daniel's background in property law, contracts and procurement will be of real benefit to the Council, and his experience managing democratic services, legal, elections and maintaining a range of Council constitutions is a perfect fit for the services under the current portfolio. The interim arrangement will be for an initial period of 6 months. Before I go to the recommendation, I would also like to put on record my thanks to Sarah Pragon, Assistant Director Law and Governance, who will be leaving us next month for a job in Rushcliffe. Sarah's done great work supporting and helping all elected members and officers across the council and really living those Nolan principles through and through. She's been with us for 18 months and during that time has made a great stride in moving the authority forward and a great support for many of the projects and schemes that the council has delivered. We wish her every success in her new role, and as this is her last meeting of the council, I thought it was fitting to raise this tonight. The recommendation to council, therefore, is that Daniel Touet be appointed and designated as the council's monitoring governance with effect from the 16th of August 2024. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the Chief Executive Officer? Yep. Thank you. Have a proposer? Elected Mayor and seconder?
Second, reserve the right.
Thank you, Councillor Whitby. Does anybody wish to comment? Councillor Moxon.
Thank you very much. And I'd just like to follow the comments of Adam with regards to Sarah. I think she's going to be an enormous loss to the council and a gain to Rushcliffe. I've already given her some guidance on some of the characters that she might come across at Rushcliffe. But I just wanted to thank her on behalf of our group for the support that you've given us. We're a minority group, but you've never sort of treated us in that way, and you've always given us all the support that we needed, particularly when it came around to the budget time to putting forward an alternative proposal. So I just wanted to wish you all the best for your future endeavours.
Thank you, Councillor Moxon. Councillor Henshaw?
Yeah, it'd be remiss of the Labour group not to wish Sarah well in her new ventures. Very often when you're a local government officer, it can be a very nomadic lifestyle, but I hope you settle in Rushcliffe, especially now that they've got a new Labour MP down there. All the best anyway for you. Cheers.
Thank you. Elected Mayor? Councillor Whitby.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, just to echo what everyone's thinking and everyone's saying, thank you, Sarah, for all you've done for our group. You've been a rock. Sometimes, you know, we've been emailing you with issues that we see as important, and you explain it to us perfectly. So good luck in your new job. And as Councillor Moxon said, I know a few of the Tories at Rushcliffe as well. And so if you want any inside information, email me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and really, a lot's been said already, but I want to carry on with this lavish praise, really, because you've been really hardworking, wise and calm words with some quite tricky situations, and they're always done with a smile. And she's made a great contribution in a time here, and you will be missed. But we want to wish you the best for your future, and good luck.
Thank you, elected Mayor. I'd also like to thank Sarah for her support she's given me whilst I'm chairing these meetings. Thank you. Now to move on to item 14 of the agenda, the motions. Are there any motions for this meeting? Oh, apologies. We haven't voted. Moved on too quickly. You didn't advise me there, Sarah. Okay. Thank you. I need to put these to the motion to the vote. Could we have a show of hands? Any against? Councillor Wright, was that against?
Slow motion action.
Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion is carried. I will move on to item 14 of the agenda, the motions. Are there any motions for this meeting?
There are no motions, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for attending, everybody, and I'll close the meeting. Thank you.